Professor Dato Engineer Dr. A. Bakar Jaafar, Chairman of Malaysian Green Technology and Climate Change Center, Malaysia, and former Director General of the Department of Environment, Malaysia. Professor Dato Bakar's keynote address today is entitled River Quality of Malaysia, High TSS and Increasing Costs in Water Treatment and Supply. Dato Engineer Dr. A. Bakar Jaafar, a Malaysian, is an engineer by profession, an environmental scientist, and a maritime expert by current preoccupation. He has gained wide experience and expertise in both public and private sectors after having served in the Malaysian civil service for over 22 years in various positions, including as the Director General of the Department of Environment from 1990 to 1995. He led the delegation of Malaysia to numerous intergovernmental meetings, including the first WG meeting of Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change in Sundsvall, Sweden in 1988. Since his optional retirement in the public service in late 1995, he continued, however, to serve the government of Malaysia as elected member to the Commission on the Limits of Continental Shelf, UN Headquarters, New York, from 1997 to 2002, 2002, 2007, and then again to 2012. And he also served as an advisor to the National Committee on Continental Shelf, Secretariat to National Security, Prime Minister's Department, Malaysia. He continues to contribute toward the common good and sustainable future by advancing knowledge, expertise, and skills, particularly in the fields of science, technology, and the environment. The moderator for this session is Engineer Haji Muhammad Hanifa Haji Abdul Hamid, Vice President, Malaysian Water Association, and Fellow of Academy Sciences, Malaysia.
Thank you for the introduction, Puan Yasmin Yusof, distinguished guests, honorable speakers, and respected participants. Welcome back to the fourth day of the MIWC. A very good morning to everyone, and may peace be upon every one of us. Before we just proceed to the talk by Professor Dato Abu Bakar, let us together observe a brief moment of silence on this day today on the passing of one of the operators of Pengurusan Air Pahang yesterday, Allahyarham Roslan Nah. So for the Muslims, minta tolong hadiahkan Fatihah, Al-Fatihah. Okay, now we have great honor to actually hear from a very experienced expert in the field of environment, as what Puan Yasmin have actually introduced, Professor Dato Engineer Dr. Abu Bakar Jaafar. So we now like to invite him, and the floor is yours, Dato. Welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, selamat pagi, salam sejahtera, distinguished participants. First of all, I wish to take this opportunity to thank the organizers, Malaysia International Water Convention 2021, for having invited me this time to address the subject, and I would say the topic of my address this morning will be along the line of river water quality assessment, high total suspended solids, increasing cost of treatment, and what would be the proposed measures. This is the outline of my presentation. After my introduction, I would carry out review on river water quality throughout the country in Malaysia. And I would also point out that the most serious pollutant parameter is the total suspended solids. And the fourth item of my presentation to discuss in what way this high suspended solid has caused disruptions of water, raw water intake points, and thus the closure, the shutdowns of numerous number of water treatment works. And that'll be the fifth. I would discuss about the increasing costs of treatment and other costs, related costs. And I would use the case of pengurusan air Pahang as a case study. And I will conclude by proposing a number of measures to address this problem. As we know, there are many components in the determination of water treatment costs, and there are various components in terms of unit product costs, in terms of direct capital, operating costs, indirect capital. And one important unit product cost is the quality of raw water. And this presentation, I want to focus on this particular component of the whole water treatment costs. And before I go any further, I would like to remind myself and others there's one parameter not easy to remove from the raw water, and even after the treatment, is the amount of nitrate in drinking water. And as we well aware, in the 60s there have been number of young born babies born with and death, and we call them the blue baby syndrome. This is due to the presence of very high nitrate content in the drinking water. And in Malaysia also we have the Ministry of Health has introduced a standard also on the amount of nitrate that is allowable in our drinking water systems. And in Malaysia, we recognize over 97% of the water supply comes from rivers and streams, and the demand for residential and industrial water supply has grown rapidly following the country's economic development, as well as increase in population and urban growth. And this is a snapshot of sources of pollution and how different bodies, various bodies of water have been polluted throughout the country. And one of the most serious ones here is relating to the soil erosion and uncontrolled earthworks. And I would say in the tropics, including Malaysia, if a brunette were to jump into our rivers, it would be most likely she would pop up as a blonde, simply because our rivers are polluted mostly by the presence of high suspended solids. Indeed, a number of studies, including the most recent one by the Academy of Sciences Malaysia, established the fact that the most serious pollutant in the receiving waters throughout the country is none other than total suspended solids due to the uncontrolled earthworks and soil erosion from numerous land and mining activities. The following figure shows only 20% of the 1,353 water quality sampling points throughout the country over the last 11 years, 2010 to 2019, were free from any form of pollution as per Class 2B standard. And we have established that the most polluting parameter is the total suspended solids. And the 6% of the sample points were polluted by total suspended solids 100% of the time. This is the figure that I was saying earlier. If you look at the y-axis on the left here, only 25% of the sampling points over 1,350 free from total suspended solids, and here we establish total suspended solid, the most serious source of pollution in the country. And this data based on the samples taken during the period, the whole year of 2020. And in the following figure 2, the total suspended solid had affected the over 136 raw water intake points throughout the country, and only 2% of the intake points were free from any form of pollution. And the remaining 98% had been adversely affected by total suspended solids. And as high as 33% of these were polluted over 90% of the time. And this is the figure that I was saying earlier, and only 2% only free from any form of pollution. And this is serious, and this data gathered through the Department of Environment concessionaire. And as reported by Suruhanjaya Urusan Air, Peringatan Air Negara, National Water Services Commission, SPAN, in the 2020, the total number in 2018, the total number of shutdowns is about 574, and 449 of them occurred accounted in the state of Pahang, and this due to the high turbidity due to soil erosion from land development, mining and logging. And in 2018, I was saying earlier, according to SPAN, most of the water treatment plants shutdowns throughout Malaysia were accounted in the state of Pahang. 449 over 574 shutdowns, about 78%, and due to high turbidity and due to soil erosion from land development, mining and logging, and lost 2,816 over 4,457 hours of treated water production. That is about 60%. But by mid-2019, the state of Pahang continued to suffer 124 over 172, about 70% of total number of shutdowns throughout the country. And in Pahang, the most badly affected sites, and thus the shutdowns of water treatment plants were in the district of Raub, at Bilot, Karau and Teras, in the district of Lipis, Benter and Merako, in district of Bentong and Mempaga at Bilot, and in district of Maran at Jempol and Jengkel. This shows the locations of those raw water intake points in the state of Pahang, and the circle, the red is the percentage of raw water intake points affected by the presence of high total suspended solid over the period 2017 to 2020. And according to PIPE, pengurusan air Pahang, and they have reported more up-to-date frequency of water treatment shutdowns in 2020 and 2021, and 21 up to July 2021, and it looks like the frequency is not going to really come down, but rather going to be on the increase. Second, also more serious, is the total hours lost in the treated water production due to high suspect solids, also on the increase. You note that by July 2021, the number was gone more than 50% of the year before. And though the frequency of water treatment plant shutdown has reduced, but the total number of hours lost has increased. This is just another way of presenting the same set of data in the state of Pahang. This figure shows the total frequency and lost hours of water treatment plant shutdowns during the period 2018 to mid-2021. And the pengurusan air Pahang Berhad also shared with us the most serious water intake points and that caused shutdowns of various water treatment plants. In the case of Rau, Sungai Bilot, and also in Kelau, as well as in Tras, in the district of Lipis at Benter, and also at Merapo, and in the district of Bentong at Mempaga, and also at Bilot, and in the district of Maran at Jempol and Jengker. As a result, in order to address, mitigate this deteriorating raw water quality, this table shows the extent of capex that had been deployed and that proposed to be deployed in undertaking the required capital works. It runs into million ringgit. The next is the cost of additional chemicals incurred in overcoming the deteriorating water quality due to the high suspect solid. And third, the additional OPEX incurred in overcoming the water plant shutdowns in terms of emergency response. Also, this has also run over R1 billion in the last 4 years. Also. And this table summarizes the total capex as well as the operating expenditure to overcome the raw water high potability issues in the state of Pahang. So, before I conclude, here I would like to share with you the evolution of environment and water related laws in Malaysia. In early years, we had to tackle the issues relating to health, and second, we had to tackle the matters relating to safety, and third, we have to tackle matters relating to the environment. And there are so many laws and agencies involved to ensure the environment and water resources not affected badly by all forms of pollution. And one of the proposed measures, this had been outstanding, is the need to review the existing schedules of works and payment in the Housing Development Control Licensing Act of 66, as well in the Sabah Housing Development Control Licensing Enactment 78, and Sarawak Housing Development and Contracting Ordinance of 2013 as a solution moving forward. And the drainage system, the sediment traps, flood retention ponds, crusher run road surfacing, and other erosion and sedimentation control measures, including turfing, be completed immediately after the earthworks done. And these soil erosion and sedimentation control measures be listed in the set schedule prior to other building works and other construction works. And the progress on payment will follow this new schedule of works. And recently, the Academy of Sciences Malaysia has undertaken a study to see how to strengthen environmental governance in Malaysia, and we have identified numerous federal, state and local authorities responsible for the environment, including land and water. And after the study, the Academy has proposed how these federal, state and local agencies should work together. And the proposal here is that all environment related federal, state and local authorities be organized and answerable to various heads of river or state and interstate river basin authorities. So these agencies or these officers from various agencies, instead of answerable to their own Director Generals, now they are answerable to the various heads of river basin authorities where they are assigned to or seconded to. And in order to make the whole process accountable, and the Academy has proposed the establishment of the Federal State Commission for the Environment, where all these river basin authorities or interstate river basin will be reporting to. And there will be no implication, manpower implication or budgetary implications, since the manpower of this river basin authority will be seconded from various existing federal, state and local agencies, and these authorities will receive their powers delegated under various laws, enactment ordinance of the existing federal and state agencies. And the only monetary implication won't be that much, is to support the establishment of the Federal State Commission for the Environment, which is full secretariat. And I think the main function of this commission would do the auditing of the performance of every federal, state and local authority relating to environment, including the management of water resources in terms of both quantity and quality. So in conclusion, I would say the first measure, as I was saying earlier, is the need to strengthen the existing soil erosion prevention and control measures by various federal, state agencies and local authorities. Secondly, it is proposed that the polluters pay principle be introduced within every river basin, and the fees collected would finance the proposed establishment of various state or interstate river basin authorities, the bodies that would govern all matters relating to environment arising from the management of living and non-living resources, including land, water and mining. And in terms of science and technology, I would argue that the remaining high surplus solid in the running stream could be recovered by introducing an advanced technology through the electrostatic precipitation of collected materials across the water bodies that could be further processed and recovered as ceramic materials of nano size. And this is a subject that I would like to pursue further with any interested parties from both the private, the academia, and other government research institutes, including the universities. Thank you very much. And I would like to take this opportunity to express my appreciation to the following individuals for their invaluable support in the preparation of this presentation: Technologies Engineer Muhammad Hanifah Abdul Hamid, Professor Dr. Muhammad Talib Latif, Dr. Abdul Rani Abdullah, Dr. Azliana Azhari, Cik Saiful Zani Muhammad Bukhari, Raza, and Mr. Lo Chia Hu. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Dato'. This morning we are to Bakar with us. We have only about 5 minutes. There are quite a number of questions, but I'll first give the floor to Dato' Bakar. Based on his years of experience, he have now pinned down 2 issues which are actually threatening our water supply. Basically, number one is high TSS, soil erosion. The second one is on the governance. So maybe Dato' Bakar, you would like to actually elaborate further on these 2 items?
Thank you very much, Engineer Hanifah. I thought I've already made very clear, and there had been so many solutions over the years, one by one, but do not seem to work very well because this all question are not so much of science, technology, the knowledge. So for that reason, we have pushed our proposal through the Academy of Sciences Malaysia to establish river basin authorities just to tackle all problems relating to environment, including the need to improve the quality of our water and also water supply. And hopefully this proposal would be accepted and endorsed by Ministry of Environment and Water, and for this matter to be taken up further by the government. And the way I see it, this is the only way to move forward. And as you know, the first law introduced in the country relating to water as early as 1920, a long time ago. Until today, the problems. Laws have been there all these years, but the problems yet to be overcome. And I've been saying, I must say, since 1976, when I joined the Department of Environment, the total environment managed to tackle problems of pollution largely from the oil and rubber. I used to be teased by Tan Sri Rafida Aziz, and she would say to me, the industry is virtually discharging clean waters to dirty rivers. So that will conclude, that will summarize the problem here. I hope our proposal will receive good support, not only from the government, but from all sectors of the economy, public and private, including our communities and our civil societies. Thank you.
Okay, just one more question. It is from Cik Isha Hasnan. He asked, what are the actions taken by PIPE and the state government of Pahang to overcome pollution problem in their rivers?
PIPE is the job is to draw the water, to treat that water, to supply water. So I don't think it is within the operations, right? And the only way for Pahang or for any other state to move forward is to establish the river basin authorities, and these authorities will ensure that water will no longer be polluted. And as I pointed out, the most serious source of pollution is uncontrolled earthworks, soil erosion, logging, and also mining. So river basin authority has to be established to solve this problem.
Okay, one last word of conclusion from you, Dato', before we wrap up this session.
Yeah, actually, I would also propose that the government would adopt this polluters pay principle, and this principle is well known as early as practice and have been also adopted in Malaysia. And that's how the Department of Environment managed to control the pollution from palm oil concept, polluters pay principle. The more you pollute, the more you pay. And this is the only way to internalize the cost of pollution into the operations. So I hope this will be adopted in order to add soil erosion problem and other related problems.
Okay, so great. Thank you very much. On behalf of MIWC and also the Malaysian Water Association, we'd like to thank you very much for your precious time spent this morning. Thank you, and thank you, everyone. See you again in the next sessions. Assalamualaikum.